What's up, everybody? I was watching the Off the Ropes show today, and surprisingly, they did what was, I guess, they're saying not only ROH Ring of Honor review for this year. And we might all recall that earlier this year, Jeff Siegel did a video about ROH. And I did a response to that. And you know what? A lot of people bring up some good points about ROH. Now, I know there's a lot of Ring of Honor fans out there. And hey, I'm not saying Ring of Honor is not a good company. It's the third largest national worldwide company currently right now. Basically, Ring of Honor, and this is crazy to say, is the ECW of this generation, of this decade. Just like TNA, in many comparisons, is the WCW of this generation. But you know what? The thing is, one of the things that Jeff Siegel and the Off the Rope show, Tasteless Tony, and probably many others here on the YT, in the YWC, the IWC, have all said about Ring of Honor, is the one thing that's holding them back is they're trying to be something that they're not. I mean, let's face facts. Ring of Honor, like I said, is a good company. There's no doubt about it. But there's a lot of things holding them back. One of the main things holding them back, to me, is their pay-per-views. Now, I'm not saying that what they charge for a pay-per-view, which is basically about $15, is not a bad deal. But the way they charge it is they're charging it on internet, on streaming. Now let me explain. Sometimes, depending on who the provider and who the carrier and video service is, live streaming could be good. But the thing is, if you really want to get your product out there, you need to have your shows on pay-per-view. Actual pay-per-view, not internet pay-per-view. But again, I understand that for companies like Ring of Honor, it's the more affordable thing to do. However, they need to work something out to where you could do it on internet, but let's say your big pay-per-views, the ones you really get behind, those need to probably be on regular pay-per-view. I mean, let's take a look at what you got upcoming. You got Death Before Dishonor. Alright? That could be argued as either being qualified for regular pay-per-view or internet pay-per-view. But then let's take a look at the one at the end of the year. The one at the end of the year. Final Battle. That one, for Ring of Honor, should be on regular pay-per-view, not internet. Because it's such a big deal. They had Best in the World, which was, I think, one of the big ones. That could have been a pay-per-view. You get what I'm saying, folks? Just like TNA and WWE have the big four, Ring of Honor obviously has, I guess, the big 3 or 4, whatever it is. And those two should be on pay-per-view, while the others, I will admit from a marketing standpoint, could be regularly used for internet pay-per-view. Another thing, though, that, a lot of people in the YWC and the IWC have said about Ring of Honor is, they're trying to emulate a style that's not working. Ring of Honor essentially is trying to be the MMA, the UFC, if you will, of professional wrestling. They're trying to say, this is real wrestling. This is where professional wrestling is, where it lives. Yeah, we know it's about wrestling. We know that most of the time, that sometimes, depending on who's competing in a match, they can have 5-star, 10-star matches. Hard for me to say, but it's true. But the thing is, they're trying to be something that they're not. I mean, Jeff Siegel and Tasteless Tony, and Tony T, and Tony Townsend, if you will, brought up something very interesting. Every person they've ever had in that company that they've gotten behind, Richards, Edwards, Cole, Ciampa maybe, who knows? And this new guy who got beat by QT Marshall, if you will. The one thing they all have in common is that basically ROH's, I guess, answer to MMA. I mean, you can have an intro and everything that looks like it's MMA or basically, I mean, let's face it, the intro to their weekly television show, their intro to their pay-per-views is essentially a rip-off of UFC. That's essentially what it is. What they need to do is they need to differentiate themselves. And not differentiate themselves by trying to be the UFC, the MMA of professional wrestling. They need to differentiate themselves by saying, look, we are mainly about wrestling. We are trying to be mainly a straightforward wrestling company. And that's about it. You know, just try to say, hey, look, we're more about wrestling. Yes, we'll have our promos, our in-ring segments, and all that, blah, blah, blah. But let's try to basically be a wrestling company. Did ECW differentiate themselves from WCW and WWE? Yeah, they did. Do you know how they did it? They were more hardcore. They were mainly a no-rules wrestling organization. They didn't depend on MMA, on ripping off another sport, or trying to copy another sport, or try to piggyback of another sporting company's success. They revolutionized things by being different and by being something that at the time the WWE, WWF at the time, and WCW weren't doing. And also, here's the thing. Jeff and Tony, today in the review, pointed out that you have someone in QT Marshall who, particularly at 6'1" in their estimation, is a giant in Ring of Honor, and yet, instead of probably pushing the dude, as they're hoping Ring of Honor will do, Ring of Honor wants to push guys that are basically the same stature, like I mentioned earlier, basically being pushed as being MMA-like wrestlers, hybrid wrestlers. And that's not going to be successful. That's not a successful thing for you. You need to be about wrestling primarily, if that's your goal. Not try to be a hybrid or be a blatant ripoff of UFC. And you need to get behind people that are different. I mean, look, Kevin Steen right now is the best thing Ring of Honor's got going as their champion, because he is different. He doesn't have the wrestler look. He has more of that hardcore, Balls Mahoney, Axel Rotten-like look. But there's one thing that Jeff and Tony brought out in their review, and that is because Ring of Honor doesn't want to move forward, just because Jim Cornette and Gabe Kapowski and whoever else is in charge doesn't want to move the company forward, you got a lot of superstars, potential wrestlers, potential people that could have helped Ring of Honor to that next level. You have them leaving the company to either go to WWE or TNA. I mean, look at the most recent jump. Kenny King. Kenny King decides he wants to go to TNA because of greener pastures and not be stuck in Ring of Honor. And not because of contractual disputes or anything like that, but because mainly he saw that Ring of Honor wasn't moving forward. I mean, look what's going to be happening in the near future. Ring of Honor is brought back in Sarah Del Rey, one of the best independent female wrestlers in the world. And what's going to happen real soon? Sarah Del Rey is going to end up leaving to WWE to not only be part of the Divas division, but to help train those divas to be better athletes in the ring. And then you take a look at guys that WWE is getting behind that used to be part of Ring of Honor. Seth Rollins, Tyler Black, if you will. Cassius Ohno, Chris Hero. The current United States champion, Antonio Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli. And then again, going back, Seth Rollins, who, believe it or not, in case you don't know this, NXT champion. If they weren't getting behind, I mean, these are guys that Ring of Honor, if they would just decide to move forward, these guys would have remained with the company. Heck, even CM Punk saw it years ago. The truth is, what's holding Ring of Honor back from being something that even if for an hour or 45 minutes people could sit down and watch on television, what's holding them back is they're not moving forward. I mean, you got Sinclair Broadcasting Group, SBC, or SBG. You have them. They obviously have the money and possibly the resources to help production values. You know, you got that arena they're in. That, as far as I'm concerned, a gym, if you will. Well, it looks like a gym or an armory. I don't know. You have that arena that they tape the shows in. You could easily light that sucker up, even more so. The truth is, what's holding Ring of Honor back is themselves. The people in charge. They're not letting the company grow. They're not letting it evolve. And if that's part of the storyline they got with Kevin Steen and Jimmy Jacobs and Steve Corino, then hey, more power to them. At least maybe they're acknowledging, oh, we need to move forward. But you know what's even funny about this though, folks? And let me check my time because I only have about 15-minute time limit. Yeah, I'm still okay. But you know what's even more funnier than this, folks? There are sources reporting that Kevin Steen might be leaving Ring of Honor. And this is not a storyline or anything like a work. This is real. Because according to a source, obviously Triple H is interested in bringing Kevin Steen in because he's a big man, a big guy that can work with just about anybody. Yeah, get the wax out of your ear. Kevin Steen, the current Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion, will probably be approached and everything by Triple H because Triple H wants to bring him in. Does that tell you that even somebody who has never even been in Ring of Honor sees that Ring of Honor isn't moving forward and that potentially you have somebody like Kevin Steen that needs to move forward, needs to have more experience? You could potentially bring that guy. I mean, Ring of Honor could end up having another Kenny King situation. I mean, look what they're doing right now. They're holding a tag team title tournament because they couldn't hold on to Kenny King and allow him and Red Titus to be the champions. All because they're not moving forward. They need to move forward. They need to stop being something that they're not and be a wrestling company that acknowledges they are wrestling, that they're not a hybrid sport, they're not an MMA company, they're not a UFC-like company, they're a Ring of Honor. And that if they want to keep people under their contracts, they need to move forward, evolve. Acknowledge that certain things are no longer in existence, like the Code of Honor. Yeah, it's still there, but how much longer? Huh? How much longer? And maybe they do need to acknowledge, and if it's part of the Kevin Steen storyline, they need to acknowledge that they are sports entertainment. Because sooner or later, if they don't start moving forward and acknowledging a lot of things and doing things right, not only are they going to lose people like they lost Kenny King, who was a current tag team champion, but they're going to end up losing the world champion. And they're going to end up losing maybe the world's greatest tag team back to WWE or to TNA. They're going to end up losing Rhino maybe to WWE again. They need to move forward. They got potentially a great roster of young men and young women that could do great things, but if they don't move forward, you're going to lose that entire roster and you're going to end up deader than what a lot of people say you are. So that basically, my friends, I guess you could say is a shoot and a response. A shoot on Ring of Honor and basically a response to OTRS's first Ring of Honor review of this year. Comment down below video response if you like. Anybody in Facebook, Twitter, British Fist, OTRS, No DQ, Dads on Wrestling, doesn't matter. Respond if you like, and I'll talk to y'all later.